You know, the code that runs our world, the stuff that recommends movies, approves our loans, even guides police. It's all supposed to be totally neutral, right? Just pure, efficient math. But what if it's not? What if there's a hidden dark side to all this code? What if it's actually creating inequality?
I want you to meet Portia Woodruff. She was 8 months pregnant when the police showed up, arrested her for carjacking, a crime she had absolutely nothing to do with. And the only piece of evidence they had? An incorrect match from a facial recognition system. This isn't some dystopian movie. This is the real human cost when an algorithm gets it wrong.
And here's the thing. Portia's story, it's not a one-off. We know of at least 7 other wrongful arrests just like hers in the US, all because of faulty facial recognition. These aren't just random glitches, you know? This is a pattern, a recurring failure with absolutely devastating consequences for real people.
So this brings us to a really uncomfortable question, one that touches everything from the law to the job you might apply for tomorrow. What if a computer program, something that's supposed to be objective, was secretly biased against you just because of your race, your gender, or even your zip code?
Well, that invisible threat actually has a name. It's called algorithmic bias. So let's break down what that really means.
So the key idea here is systematic errors. Algorithmic bias isn't about random mistakes. It's when a computer system consistently and unfairly produces bad outcomes for a particular group of people. It takes the biases that already exist out in the real world and basically writes them into code, making them even worse.
And this is a really crucial point. We're not usually talking about some evil programmer trying to build a racist or sexist algorithm. Nope, we're talking about a system that was probably built with good intentions, but its impact, its actual result, is discriminatory. The harm is the same, even if no one meant for it to happen.
Okay, so if it's not intentional, then how does this unfairness actually get into our systems? Well, let's pop the hood and take a look at the 4 main ways this bias just sort of creeps into the code.
All right, let's walk through these. First, you've got minority bias. Simple, really. If you train an AI mostly on data from one group, it's just not going to be very good at making decisions for other groups. Then there's missing data bias. This is where the gaps in the data aren't random, and they end up teaching the algorithm a skewed version of reality. Next up is technical bias. This is when your tools are flawed from the start. Imagine a medical sensor that just works better on lighter skin. That flaw gets baked right into the AI's logic. And finally, label bias. This one's super sneaky. It's when the system uses something that seems neutral, like a zip code, but that zip code is actually a stand-in, a proxy, for something sensitive, like race.
So now we know how bias gets in, but where does it actually show up? Because this isn't just some techie problem or something that only happens in policing. Oh no, this stuff is having a massive ripple effect across our entire society. It's in our jobs, our healthcare, you name it.
Let's talk about getting a job. Amazon actually had to scrap a recruiting AI they built because it taught itself that male applicants were better. How? Well, it learned from a decade of old resumes, and that data just reflected the fact that the tech industry was already male-dominated. It literally started penalizing resumes that had the word women's in them, like captain of the women's chess club.
And we see the exact same pattern in healthcare. There was this diagnostic algorithm for reading chest x-rays that was way less accurate for women. And the reason? You guessed it. The data it was trained on was overwhelmingly for male patients. The AI just never saw enough examples to learn properly.
Okay, this one is genuinely shocking. A huge algorithm that hospitals use to find high-risk patients was found to be incredibly biased against Black patients. See, because of existing inequities, less money is often spent on healthcare for Black patients. The algorithm saw that lower cost and thought it was a proxy for need, so it concluded that Black patients were healthier than they really were. The result was that a Black patient had to be way sicker to get the same risk score as a white patient. And that brings us full circle, right back to policing. When a predictive policing AI was tested in Oakland, it kept sending police to Black neighborhoods twice as often as white ones. It wasn't really predicting future crime, it was just predicting past arrests. This creates this incredibly dangerous feedback loop. The AI sends more cops, which leads to more arrests, which then proves to the AI that it was right to send the cops there in the first place.
So I know this all sounds pretty grim, but here's the good news. This isn't inevitable. There are a lot of really smart people working hard on this, on finding a path to fairness.
So how do we actually fix this? How do we start building AI that works for everybody, not just for some of us?
Well, it's not about one single magic bullet. It starts with the data. We have to use diverse, representative data from the get-go. Then we need transparency.
Things like requiring companies to do audits and assessments to see who their AI might be harming. Some people even argue for building race-conscious algorithms, systems that are actually aware of race so they can actively work to correct for these biases. And maybe the most important thing of all, we need a human in the loop, a real person who can override the machine, and a real way for people to appeal a decision an algorithm makes about them.
You know, the author Kathy O'Neill really nails it when she says, this is a moral challenge, not just a technical one. We can't just expect these systems to be fair on their own. We have to be intentional. We have to actually build our values, like fairness and justice, right into the code.
And that leads to this really powerful, forward-looking idea called algorithmic greenlighting. The vision here is to go beyond just preventing harm. What if we designed our algorithms to be a force for good? What if they could actively promote equity, help us find communities that need investment, and actually help close those long-standing gaps in wealth and opportunity?
So I guess that's the big question this leaves us with, right? Is our goal just to build tools that are neutral and don't make things any worse? Or do we have a chance here, maybe even a responsibility, to build systems that actively help us create a more just and equitable world?
Definitely something to think about. Hey, for more simple and useful tech insights just like this, make sure you subscribe to Refreshing Tech. Thanks for watching.